Hello and welcome to Las Blancas Podcast.
Welcome back to another episode of Las Blancas. This is the first pod of the new season. Basically, today we are starting our pod recording for the next season, the 25-26 season, which is marking a sort of start of a new era. Uh, a new manager, a lot of new signings, a lot of new players, maybe a new play style, maybe a slightly different play style from the previous one. And today on the agenda is are the three games that we played in the preseason. Two of them in Germany. We traveled there, and it was quite an experience, honestly, given the fanfare and everything around that. Was quite good. We got tested against a good opponent as well. And basically to talk about what we learned about Pau Quesada's Real Madrid for the 25-26 season. The regular season begins on 30th of August, and we will be recording another pod where we will break down the signings for you and we'll discuss our expectations for the new season. But let's get this one started. Let's talk about the three friendlies that we played, one against Madrid CFF, one against Union Berlin, and the last one against Bayern Munich. And to do all of that, as always, I've got my partner in crime, Kanita, with me. Kanita, how you doing after that break? How you feeling about this team and the new season?
Yeah, we're finally back after the Euros, and we're back for the new season. So exciting! We'll be starting a new playlist in the new season on Spotify as well when uploading. So this is exciting. And yeah, like you said, the new era with the new coach, Pau Quesada, and something we've been longing for. So I always excited for something new. And obviously, we have new players, including one of the like old new players, from the academy. We got a promotion, so it's exciting times ahead of us, and I'm hoping for more classical wins this season. So yeah.
Yeah, and given the fact that Barcelona are sort of
Mm.
in some trouble themselves, they are trying to save their men's team by sacrificing the women's team. So depth issues and everything. Who knows what the season has in store. But let's get to the games. So three games, two 3-1 wins in the first two, 3-1 win against Madrid CFF to begin our preseason, then another 3-1 win against Union Berlin before a 4-1 loss against Bayern Munich. Right. So initially, like if you look at the three sort of lineups, the formation that we start with doesn't seem that different. It is the typical 4-2-3-1 that we had under Toril, and maybe it's too early to sort of judge Pau Quesada's tactics as well about what he's trying to do. But the large portion of the blueprint remains the same. I feel it's the 4-2-3-1 same formation in the build-up as well. I will talk about that in much detail. And since it's the preseason and there was a summer of football across the world this time around, with Copa America, with Euros, and with the African Nations Cup as well. A lot of our players were away, so the incorporation of some of them has been slow. We haven't seen Linda Caicedo go at full flow yet because she was involved till the final stages at the Copa America. Then some of the Spanish players were involved till the end,
The
like
Brazilians
Atenea.
too.
Yeah,
The
the
Brazilians,
Brazilians
yeah.
too, the Spaniards. Then we had Swedish players as well who went the distance almost. So it's a tricky sort of situation, because a lot of our key players haven't had the full momentum going into the season. Maybe they'll take a couple of games to uh, just not risk them running the risk of injury, which is good. But yeah, there were quite a few things to learn from it and to take away from these games. But initial thoughts on the three friendlies that we played, Kanita, then we'll get to uh, breaking them down further.
Well, I'll just add quickly that I hope it doesn't take 2 games, because we have the second game is Madrid Derby against Atletico. So, they can take 1 game off. I don't care. But Madrid Derby, no, I want the win, however gruesome that game is. But yeah. And yeah, I mean, there were some things that were, we enjoyed some things, like, I don't know, the crosses of Sarah Holmgard against Berlin, and we saw some fun things, and we also saw Froms playing, and we also saw Misa starting a game as the captain, like as the first captain. So there's some very exciting things in the preseason. And yeah, one interesting thing which we'll get to, and which we noticed with what Pau Quesada, you know, brought into this team. So yeah, let's see what we talk about now.
Yeah, so on the ball, let's talk about what we do in possession. So there are still quite a bit of crosses, but the the crosses from Sarah Holmgard have been absolutely brilliant, like absolutely top notch. And that is the quality that she's going to add in the side. In defense as well, she has looked really solid. uh, and Shea as well on the right hand side, because she started the Union Berlin game and the Bayern game as well. And she has looked really good. She has looked like she is going to go forward to support play. Has looked good in possession at the back as well. Defensively also, she has looked good. And largely, if you look at the the attack and the defense, apart from the center back partnership, I think the full back pairing is going to remain the same. Like, we are going to see Sarah Holmgard and Shea as our starting fullbacks in the season. The goalkeeping position is an interesting one, because Misa has started the game, but then we have also seen Froms start the Madrid CFF game. Misa start the Union Berlin game, and then at halftime we have seen changes as well. So it's quite interesting to see which goalkeeper he goes with, or if he does a little switcheroo at the start of the season. The centre back partnership of Rocio and Anderson for the 3 games that we have seen them has had its issues. Like, it has been a bit meh, to be honest. Like, this can't be the centre back partnership that we go for in many games. To be honest, like, both have looked quite flawed, and definitely need somebody more solid besides them to sort of shoulder a lot of the responsibilities. And I think we will when once the season begins, I think we'll see Lacrar and Maria Mendez as the outright favorites to start. They've just been used a little bit in a cautious manner, just to not overwork them after the summers. But yeah, I feel in build up, if we look at the build up structure, we have we have a double pivot. In the friendlies, we have seen it for Angel Dal and Idune in a couple of games, and it's interesting. But I think during build up, a lot of the times, with it's Sarah slightly staying back, Shea pushing up, the midfielder sometimes dropping in. But I think the distances during our build up haven't looked the best to me. To be honest, there were some build-up issues. Now maybe this gets resolved once it's Angel and Toletti maybe starting the games for us. In attack, like we mentioned, there were a lot of crosses. The wingers had the freedom to sort of go wide or cut inside with overlapping fullbacks. So the wingers held slightly narrower position and the fullbacks bombed forward, which was again quite interesting to see. And once again in Bruin we had the target up front, which was the main outlet basically for the side. And the interesting part came, I think, off the ball. So it's still the same structure. It's still the 4-4-2 that we kept. It's still almost the same sort of way we defended under Toril. And I think expecting big changes is sort of not very rational, to be honest, in these early stages, because he's still probably trying to understand his squad better, to understand which players can play and what will be their pecking order. But I think one clear distinction that we can say immediately from Toril to Quesada at the moment is the intensity of the press. Kanita, what did you notice about that off-ball approach under Quesada in these 3 games?
So I'm just going to reference the Bayern game, especially because it was interesting how he put up the lineup. He put up Atenea as the number 9, basically there. And like from minute 1, the press was, it was very much out there from the first second, and we went on strong. I mean, we did concede pretty early on as well, but like I saw like from the first minute, and I was like, okay, this is something we're doing now. And especially with Atenea, Atenea with her energy is very prominent in the actual press when we do decide to press. So yeah, that was fun to watch. But I want to add something like you said beforehand, before before we talked about the press. It's this issue with like not with the build up and kind of being all over the place, especially with the Brits and Angel Dal in the Bayern game. Like they were really disconnected, and everyone was talking, like the whole fandom was talking about it. They're not really understanding each other. Even like in the second half, when we brought on the youngster Folgado, which was her debut, she played with Angeldal, so Folgado got on for the Brits. And I actually, Angeldal was a bit more free to go and like to even switch a bit to the right side and like combine with Shea a couple of times. I saw a few actions there, so it was a bit more free, playing with a youngster there. So I'm guessing it's a bit more lenient way to command the on the center field, right? And I don't really have anything like specific yet to describe what's happening with that non-existent buildup for now. If you have anything, like please do feel free to say it. But it was so weird, and because I was really excited to see if there was anything, if there will be anything with the Brits and Algendal. Obviously, the Brits being our new signing. So yeah, if you have anything, please do add.
Build up wise, I feel like uh you know I did not notice much. There we used diagonals a lot against Union Berlin. Against Bayern, I think the thing where we lacked structure was quite evident, because they were able to play through our press quite easily and then just make a run through us. A lot of the times, they were running and we were backtracking without any support from the midfield, so the distances between our lines weren't the best, which is a problem that we have struggled with. And once again, it sort of raises the question, we have all this quality. Will we be able to put it together against big teams? Yes, we beat Union Berlin, we beat Madrid CFF, but in none of those games we managed to keep a clean sheet. And if you look at the goal that we have conceded against Union Berlin, again, very poor clearance in the box, very poor defending in box. Against Bayern, it was all over the place again, unable to deal with Tanikawa's movements. It's, and with Bayern sort of getting back that Oberdorf and everyone as well, I think it's, will we be able to put it together against big team? That remains a big question once again, despite the quality. But again, like, it's not ringing alarm bells or anything. It's very early stages for a new manager, for a new squad. So they are learning about each other. So we'll give them ample amount of time before, sort of raising the eyebrow. But I think one major issue that has sort of seemed to be a consistent theme across the three games so far has been the lack of, a structured build-up approach. It feels very ad hoc at times. Maybe the idea is to basically try to move the ball forward with our center backs a little bit, and if the team falls back, the opposition falls back in a low block or in a deep block, then try to find our wide wing players with a long diagonal and have our midfielders pushed up immediately to support that possession. But yeah, I mean, that approach is not always going to work, because playing those long diagonals runs the risk of turnovers. Instead, playing those short passes and having those tight connections between midfield and defensive lines is essential. But I think those distances have not looked really good to me so far. Defensively, like I mentioned, like, the intensity is definitely high. We saw that against Bayern as well. We saw that against Union Berlin as well. But the problem is, like, again, you have to follow through it. Like, we did press with our forward line and the midfield line, but the defensive line did not follow to, sort of close that gap between the midfield and the defensive line. So once they were able to play around or play through our first two lines, it was many acres of space in between that. And that is how Dahlman exploited a lot of the areas as well in the middle. She was able to carry the ball through in the middle of the park once the press was beaten. So, when you decide to press high with that intensity, you need your sort of trailing players to also follow up. And I think that will come with time. So yeah, I think that is one of the key things that I think we should be talking about, and we should be keeping an eye on. Also keep an eye on those long diagonals, because them definitely seem like a theme under Quesada going forward. So yeah. One other complaint I think I saw, complaint, or maybe, just a suggestion on Twitter, was that with us starting our regular season on so soon, in like 4 or 5 days, uh, should we have seen our Gala 11 start a game? you know while I agree with the sentiment, and I definitely see the positive in, figuring out that Gala 11, or at least putting your best players on the pitch and then figuring out one couple of positions based on meritocracy. I think we are slightly in a spot where, even if we want to play our best players from the start, it was a slightly dangerous approach, given the fact that a lot of our players have played a lot of minutes with their national teams during the summer. So it's all about management, in my opinion. But yeah, Kanita, uh, curious to know what you think about that.
I think with the subs we did at halftime against Bayern, I mean, we did a lot of subs with our first 11 players, and I honestly we could have played at least that first half with them, maybe to just see how it goes against Bayern. I mean, this was our first encounter with this team. And, just to set up the game, to see how we would set up the game with our best 11, then instead we put, Atenea on the nine and the two center backs that are obviously not our true starting ones, and including a 19-year-old that just came. So, I would have loved to see that from the start. Like one half wouldn't have hurt just to see how we do. But yeah, I mean, I do agree with that sentiment with, the complaint or whatever you would call it from the people. I think it wouldn't do anything, like it wouldn't change anything. We would risk anything more, honestly. So yeah, but yeah, I'm guessing the rest is the reason there. We had a lot of games, players playing a lot of the games this tournament, and a lot of players playing games, obviously. So yeah, and the league is also starting earlier than previous seasons. It's actually at least 2 weeks earlier than usual. So yeah, at least we'll be prepared for the next season, a bit more rested. But yeah, I mean, not really much of a concern for me.
Yeah, so I mean, that is probably about it. I think if we have to do a sort of, a predicted 11 for Quesada's first game, uh it would probably be, you know we are starting our season against Logroño. So, if I have to predict a starting 11, it would be probably Misa in goal, Sara Homgard as the left back, Lakrar and Maria Mendez as the centre back partnership, and Shea as the right back, along with probably Angeldal and Dabritz, maybe, for the first game. And then it will be Linda Caicedo, Caroline Weir, Atenea, and Brun. I think those four are going to remain as the starting attack. What do you think, Kanita?
Maybe like swap out, I don't know, Atenea for Feller, or any of maybe even Pau starts because it's Logroño. I don't know. We'll see. He might do something in the attack different because it's Logroño, but yeah, I don't know. I agree with the rest.
Yeah. And you mentioned a couple of our signings as well, Bella Anderson. Now we have a 3 game sample size at Madrid to judge her by, along with her time at Hammarby as well. So, we will talk about it. We will definitely, sort of break all those players down and talk about what they are going to bring uh to us in the next season, and that will be a sort of a two-parter where we talk about every single signing that we have made and our expectations for the next season. So stay tuned for that. This was a small sort of recap of our preseason games, and yeah, uh thank you for listening, and let's get the 25-26 season underway. Till next time, Hala Madrid.
Hala Madrid.